We're back with the salamanders. Yes.
I'm taken aback by this little pink guy.
Yeah.
The collar, I've never seen one like this before.
Yeah, this is an axolotl. An axolotl, that's a funny name. It's named after the Aztec god, Xotl. And so, as you can imagine, they came from Mexico. They're endemic and threatened actually in Mexico because they're from the waterways right where Mexico City is. But this is a very interesting salamander. Most salamanders start as an egg in water. They're an amphibian, so they have to go through water at some point in their life. But this particular amphibian never leaves the water. And he's got two characteristics that allow him to stay in water. See these really cool, look like flames on the side of him?
Yeah.
Those are external gills. Now most salamanders will lose those in the larval stage. And see this dorsal fin right here? That's another trait that a larva has, not the adults. But these are kind of unique in the animal world. And if you think about animals, it does have a backbone. So I always like to tell my students it's a mush crunch. Which means like we're mush crunches, and so our vertebrae. If this is your skull and this my arm is your vertebrae, there are 5 vertebrate groups: mammals, birds, fish, reptiles, and amphibians, and that makes up the animal kingdom of things with backbones. So this guy has a backbone, but this one actually probably came from a colony that was started in 1924. They brought these axolotls from Mexico, started in New York, but in 1957, IU had the only axolotl breeding colony for scientific purposes. It's now down at the University of Kentucky. But what makes these so interesting to science is they study their genetics, but these guys can do something that most vertebrates can't do. If they lose a limb, it will grow back. And if they lose a tail, yeah, very handy. No play on the pun. Thanks, George.
Well, Randy's not here.
Yeah, exactly. You got to make up for it.
But I'll tell you, they actually there's been a lot of study on how they do that, and there's been a lot of scientists trying to unlock the key because that could do so much for us if we could learn how to trigger our DNA to grow back something. And so. But they're just cool too. They have a really cool face. They come in, the genetics of them, they come in albinos and whites, and in the wild they're a dark green like this. They are threatened in their natural habitat, mostly because those waterways in Mexico City are no longer part of waterways. It's millions of people live there. And they're also, they eat worms, crustaceans, insects, small fish, each other.
Oh, that's handy.
Good.
And they're predated upon by birds. You get your hands wet if you like to touch them. Since it is an amphibian, their skin has to be wet. We have amphibians in Indiana, but nothing like this. We have a close relative called the Hellbender, which gets quite large. But this is a pretty large...
This guy seems more active than the other one. Are there any differences? He looks more durable for whatever reason.
All animals have personalities. That guy did not like it when I got him out of the water this morning. And this one now, you can see the black eyes on it, and they just have a cool looking face on here. But I have to be careful. A friend of mine.
I was going to say, do they have anything that could potentially hurt you?
No, but they will eat. If you keep a bunch of them together, they will eat the fingers off. I mean, you just got to keep them. Like all animals, you need to know how to take care of them. Proper water.
So they don't need to be together.
Well, my friend who raises these, I told her not to put them together, and that's how she has about 400 of these.
Oh, wow.
So they multiply.
They do, like any other creature, a male and a female. They have internal fertilization, and they spray the tank with about 200 eggs. And I had some fun raising a bunch of these from eggs. It's just kind of a fun thing to do for kids. But
now, one of the things we were talking about in the commercial break is these in captivity live for an exceedingly long time.
About 10 to 15 years.
Wow.
If you provide, now in nature, that white one would probably be picked off by a great heron rather quickly.
Just because he's so visible.
Yeah, or by someone who wants to eat them. I have been told that they are a cultural delicacy in parts of Mexico.
I'm going to pass on that
one too, George.
Some mushrooms instead.
Rick, thank you so much. This is such an interesting science lesson for sure.